We have made it to Season 7 of the St. Louis Dragons franchise here on Madden 24, and today we are going to get through the first third of the season. I want to get through this year pretty quickly, and so we're going to be going through a large portion of the start of the regular season. Last episode was the offseason, and we had a very hard time navigating through all of our big contracts. We restructured literally everybody that we could in order to field a roster that we feel is good enough to potentially defend our Super Bowl title. And I think overall we did a pretty good job. We were able to retain quite a few players, including Amarian Cephas to a big extension. Malachi Weston, Jabril Fofana, and Inamizuna Mutsugu are all back, but we lost some guys as well. Samasoni Saluni signed a big deal with the Bucs, and we offered him more money to stay here, but he wanted to go to Tampa. Trajan Blyshenden signs with the Las Vegas Raiders. Bubba Watkins ends up with the Houston Texans. Tornado Davis signs with the New Orleans Saints. Peapuia Tatia goes to the Browns. And then we've had some guys sign here in the preseason. DJ Orleans to the Jets. Chance Matsumolo to the Niners. And Bugsy Briggs really cheap to Jacksonville. I would have been happy to pay Bugsy Briggs that type of money, but instead he is going to the Jaguars. We also had to make some tough decisions trade-wise, giving away some of our prized veterans, including wide receiver Jamison Williams, who we sent to the Las Vegas Raiders for their selection in the later portion of the second round of this year's draft. I think this is a really good landing spot for JMO because the Raiders have a really good young quarterback with Irwin Dundee, who had a great season last year, and he gets to pair up with Cassius Middleton, along with former Dragon Aaron Mayer, who we traded to the Raiders at the beginning of the preseason. But we had to do this with JMO to clear up some money with the extension for Amarian Cephas. There wasn't really a reason to keep him. But he was not the only big trade. Isaiah Likely, the longtime tight end, was traded to the New England Patriots for their selection in the late second round of this year's draft, along with a talented offensive lineman in Diego Formaz, who will contend to start at right tackle. Isaiah Likely is one of the few remaining players from the Season 1 expansion draft, and he joins the Dragons of the East with former Dragons such as Devin White, DeJuan Overton, and Damone Clark. The band is really back together in New England. But from there, we were not done. We made a big deal with the Bucs, trading away the team's all-time leader in interceptions, Demore Diggins, straight up for safety Cortez Navarro. We had a hole at safety after losing Samasoni Saluni, and the Bucs had no reason to keep Navarro since they signed Saluni. So the two of them get to join the Dragons of the South, if you will, in Tampa Bay. Diggins and Saluni pair up with other former Dragon teammates such as B.J. Ojulari, Griffin Weaver III, and Tykeem Keon Jr. So while we lost a lot of guys in the offseason, we were also able to add some. We re-signed Ron Rakes Barber in free agency while adding defensive tackle Ron Barber from the New York Jets, who had a really good season this past year with 21 tackles for loss and nearly 10 sacks. I think Barber is going to be our second best defensive lineman behind Simeon Bonnet, and he will likely play on both sides of the ball. He's really fast for his size at 6'7", 360. We're going to line him up at fullback and give him the ball in the red zone every once in a while. Along with him, we added Darren Hamilton, a do-it-all chess piece for the defense. Finnegan Howell-Coleman we brought back. We signed Sir Broderick Hillingham along with guard Kekoa Kaliani, who was later cut due to cap implications. That brought us to the NFL draft, where our three division rivals had the top three picks in the draft, and they all got really good players. Seattle ended up with a new quarterback, Zachary Bridger. The Falcons traded up for quarterback Nota Jean-Pierre. And speaking of trade-ups, we moved from pick 32 to pick 18, giving up a lot in the process. We traded, obviously, pick 32, along with a second and a third, to get this selection, along with some late rounders, picking Texas A&M pass rusher Warwick Eldridge Jr., who's an 80 overall with normal development. He's a little bit undersized for a defensive end, which is where he's going to play, but he has unbelievable play strength. He's really quick off the line, and he's got a deep pass rushing toolbox. I thought he was going to go in the top 10, and when I saw him slip that far, I knew we had to make a move. I did not want him ending up somewhere such as New Orleans, who's obviously a big rival for us. I thought we did well in the rest of the draft, too. We got a big-time playmaker and wide receiver, DeAubrey Thomas, in the second round. Wide receiver didn't feel like a huge need for us, especially considering we brought back Colin Robinson in the preseason. But I felt like the value was too good to pass up. I felt like he was a first-round player, and he's a 79 overall. From there, I thought the rest of our draft was pretty solid. Delvin Scaramer is a good piece on the offensive line. Kyson Wilkerson and Deku Etienne will compete for playing time defensively. And then Richard Rushing is going to be our short yardage back, while those other picks all look like solid depth pieces, especially center Nolan Meadows, who's a 75 overall. So this is what the lineup looks like going into the preseason, and since we don't have money to sign depth, we're going to have to play a lot of our starters during the preseason, which isn't normally something that we do, but we don't really have a choice considering there are no other contracts on the roster that we can restructure, since every deal we have on the books is pushed back as far as possible. So let's simulate to the end of the preseason. We'll see how things go. Knock on wood, nobody gets hurt. Obviously, that's the biggest thing for a contending team like us looking to repeat as Super Bowl champions. We ended up going 2-1 in the preseason, the same amount of wins as the rest of our division combined, just like the regular season last year. Both quarterbacks played well. I like seeing the rookie Amir Strauss produce. Nobody ran the ball well. I'm concerned for Milan Santa. He really struggled. At receiver, I wanted to see who's going to get some playing time here, and both Colin Robinson and De'Aubrey Thomas played really well. I think they've earned spots ahead of Jalen Mallard in the receiver pecking order. The offensive line was a little bit shaky, and then defensively, Malachi Weston played well. Srijan Bazar showed some flashes. Warwick Eldred made some plays. And, well, we don't have anybody who we're going to cut because we don't have enough roster spots, but these are the guys we are going to sign to the practice squad. There were some interesting cuts around the rest of the league. Aaron Mayer, who we traded to the Raiders, did not make their roster, so thanks for the free pick swap, Raiders. And then Bubba Watkins with the Texans, they paid him $10 million this offseason just for him to not make the team. And that brings us into the regular season as we get set to face off against the Baltimore Ravens in a Super Bowl rematch. But first, let's meet the lineup this year for the Dragons, at least to start this season. I think the biggest thing is how we're going to manage the running back rotation with Darwin Juskins coming off a great playoff run and Milan Santa coming off a really good season. At receiver, we're going to have to figure out how to get all these guys touches. Colin Robinson's too good to keep off the field, but so is De'Aubrey Thomas. And then defensively, we've got plenty of depth on the defensive line. We're going to see plenty of Warwick Eldred early and often. We're hoping to get a bigger role out of last year's first-round pick, Zion Creed, who had a pretty disappointing rookie season. And now we have to figure out what the goal for the team is, and I think it's pretty simple. Our focus this offseason was putting this team in position to win another Super Bowl by kicking all the money down the road. So today we'll be playing a total of 5 games, making it up to the bye week, and we've got an interesting schedule. 3 of our 5 primetime games will be today. Not only a Super Bowl rematch, but an NFC Championship rematch as well against Carolina, as well as 2 interdivision games, both of which are on the road. What do we need to do here in week 1, though, to beat the Ravens? I think we got to focus on the defense, particularly the passing defense. Sure, we know Lamar Jackson is a dangerous runner, but he won the MVP last year because of how efficient he was as a thrower. The pass defense was the one area of the team that was a little bit inconsistent last year. We lost some pieces in the secondary, and we're hoping these new guys will be able to produce. Obviously, we know how good Lamar Jackson is, and he's got a good group of weapons around him with Devon Achane, Darian Wiseman. They traded Zay Flowers to San Francisco, but that means more receptions and playing time for Iggy Maddox, their first-round pick a couple years ago, who is Superstar X-Factor. Their defense regressed a lot, though. It's a very old unit, with their best defensive player under 30 being Xavion Proctor, who's only an 84. Other than Roquan Smith, nobody else defensively is higher than an 85. So the Ravens are going to be in for a challenge on that side of the ball, and hopefully we'll be able to produce offensively. They do have a deep group in the secondary, though, which I think will be an interesting matchup with our deep group of receivers. So let's not waste any more time, and let's get Season 7 underway. The defending champions return home for a Super Bowl rematch against the Ravens. We're going to be moving through these games a lot quicker, as you would expect, since we're doing more per episode. As on second down, it's floated up and caught by Maddox to the 20. What a catch there by Iggy Maddox, former first-rounder out of Colorado State, who is expected to be this team's long-term number 1 option in the passing game. Lamar is intercepted in the end zone on second down. Owen Popo picks him off, and the first possession of the season ends with a defensive takeaway. A nice snag by Popo, and with that, the offense gets it for the first time. 2nd and 8. Puma's going to look to run as he fires for Arturo Modelo, the reigning Offensive Player of the Year, and he gets 30. Modelo caught nearly 140 passes last season, also leading the NFL in receiving yards, as that one is broken up on 3rd and 5. The new starting tight end, Wilson Villafana, was the intended target, and St. Louis has to punt it. Ravens get it, 3rd and 2. Wiseman breaks a tackle, but is thrown down by Simeon Bonnet, who hopefully will have a healthy season, as he's missed a lot of time over the last 2 years. Dragons back with it. Puma Whitlock sacked on 1st down by Ladarius Winston. The interior of the offensive line struggled in the preseason. That's certainly going to be something to monitor. 2nd and 14. Short throw caught by Amarian Cephas, and he will get the 1st down. Cephas had a big playoff run last year, leading to his extension, and he's going to have to step up with no more Jamison Williams. 3rd and 2. Final play of the quarter. It's play action down the field. Broken up for Colin Robinson. No score through 1. Both defenses playing really well thus far. And to start the second, the Dragons will go 4th and 2. Darwin Juskins does not get it. Patrick Queen leads the cavalry, and the Ravens get the stop. Gutsy play call by St. Louis, and it backfires. Baltimore now with it on 2nd down. Up the middle, Rashad Bateman gets hit hard by the new addition in the secondary, Cortez Navarro, acquired in a trade with Tampa Bay. 2nd and 1. Man in motion. We'll see if they can punch it in as Lamar keeps it on the option, and he is losing 4. Wrapped up by another new addition in the secondary. It's Darren Hamilton, who spent the last 4 seasons with the Jets. 3rd and 5. Dropped in the end zone. Rashad Bateman had it right in his hands, but he can't hang on. Kind of a similar play to the Zay Flowers illegal touching in the Super Bowl, as it ends up being a 4-point swing. Ravens lead 3-0 with the field goal, as on 3rd down, the Dragons get a 1st on the screen to Milan Santa. Good to see him healthy and back. On the run, short throw is caught by DeAubrey Thomas, the rookie out of TCU with his 1st career reception, and he brings it to the 18. 3rd and 7 now. Puma up the middle, broken up, looking for the rookie Thomas, who takes a shot from Patrick Queen, and they'll have to bring the field goal unit out. Cameron Dicker made the game winner in the Super Bowl last year, but he misses it. That was an easy kick from 32. Cameron Dicker barely missed it all last season, but that one is wide left. And the Dragons still with a goose egg on the scoreboard. So the Ravens get it back, holding on to their lead from the 22. Handoff for Wiseman. He gets a 1st and more down the field. Darian Wiseman will bring it all the way to the 15 as he's caught by Cam Lucifer. He got an early block from the center, Tyler Linderbaum, who annihilated Owen Popo and had all that space to make a big play as he's already over 100 yards. Short throw for Wiseman, and he gets lit up by the 3rd-year linebacker, Penultimo Barahona, coming off a great playoff run. Now 3rd and 9 from the 13. Lamar, under pressure, rolls out to the left, and he is sacked by Owen Popo, who already had an interception earlier, and now he makes a play to stop Lamar Jackson as the Ravens would kick the field goal. They lead 6-0. Dragons looking to score before the end of the half as it's a screen for Darwin Juskins. Makes a move, and Juskins is out of bounds at the 45. Of course, he's coming off a phenomenal playoff run last season. Could have been a cap casualty, but the Dragons felt like they had to keep him around. Amarian Cephas now to the 26. St. Louis back in field goal range, but I imagine they're looking for more than 3. 40 seconds left for the end zone. It's Robinson! And the Dragons are on the board for the first time this season. Puma Whitlock connects with Colin Robinson for the touchdown. I'm really excited for Robinson to get the opportunity to finally be a full-time starter, because when he has started games in the past, he's been really good, and now that he's going to get a bigger role, I think he could really break out. 3rd down, Lamar Jackson incomplete, so the Dragons are going to get the ball back, maybe with an opportunity to score before the end of the half. Puma looking downfield, he's got Modelo open. Arturo Modelo out of bounds at the 35 with 4 seconds left, and the Dragons are going to be able to look to kick a field goal. Not going to be an easy one, though. From around 52 for Cameron Dicker. It's up. It is no good. Wide right. Cameron Dicker, who I think only missed 2 field goals all of last season, misses 2 here in the first half of week 1. The Dragons lead at 7-6, a slow start for the offense, albeit partly because of 2 missed kicks. I really like what I'm seeing from the pass defense, but the run defense has to be better, as does the rushing offense. The run game was a big strength for us last year on both sides of the ball, but so far today, they are running down our throats, while Darwin Juskins and Milan Santa both have barely been able to get anything going. To start the third quarter, it's an early run for Juskins, who more than doubles his yardage total on the day, getting 16. That is what we need to see out of Darwin Juskins in the run game. 3rd and 5. Puma looks to throw it under pressure, fakes 1 sack, but is eventually brought down by Kyler Bush. So the Ravens get the stop. That'll force a punt, and they get it back on offense as it's still 7-6. 2nd and 3. Play action. Lamar keeps it on the run. Under pressure, and he is sacked by Penultimo Barahona, who of course had 3 sacks in the NFC Championship last year. Now a 3rd and 10 here for Baltimore from the 48. Lamar floats it up. It's incomplete as he tries to get it to Iggy Maddox. Good coverage by Ronrakis Barber, who of course is now a full-time starter with a 4-year extension, no less. Dragons back with it. 3rd and 10. Risky throw hauled in by Colin Robinson to the 48. Puma has to thread the needle there, but he does it perfectly for the conversion. Under a lot of pressure here, trying to avoid this sack. It's caught by Voafana. Breaks a tackle. Whoop! Jukes from the defender. And Wilson Voafana brings it to the 23. What a move in his first NFL start. Handoff here for Darwin Juskins. Looks to get by the defender with a juke move. And he dives in for a score. What a run by Darwin Juskins, who scored 7 times in the playoffs last year. I don't even think he had 7 touchdowns in the regular season a year ago. That just displays how good he was down the stretch in the postseason. As we enter the 4th, 14-6. Lamar loses 4 on the run. Zion Creed finishes him off in the backfield, the 2nd-year pro out of Michigan. 3rd and 14, under pressure. Short throw is incomplete for the tight end Cornelius Reese. Jamiron Barber, the big free agent signing from the Jets, leads the way with pressure. 2nd and 11 now for the offense. Puma, no time to throw it as he is sacked by Sullivan and friends for a loss of around 10. The Dragons' offensive line has been pretty shaky so far. Now 3rd and 21. Puma on the run as Robinson open. Looks for a block from Modelo. He runs right into the defender, but still a huge conversion for Colin Robinson, who is having himself quite the day. From the 35 now. Puma has time up the middle. It's the rookie, DeAubry Thomas, who gets it to the 42-yard line. Nice play there by Thomas, who's made some nice grabs today in limited reps. 2nd and 7. On the run. Downfield, it's Colin Robinson again, who brings it to the 22-yard line. Puma's into zone. He's looking great right now. From the 22, under pressure, he is sacked again. It's Givens who brings him down, and the struggles for the offensive line and pass protection continue. I think that's 4 sacks now for Baltimore. 3rd and 11. Puma looking downfield. It's Modelo time! Arturo Modelo with the touchdown. He had 17 receiving touchdowns a year ago. Of course, had his Super Bowl cut short after getting hurt in the first half. But it's good to see him back healthy, making plays. And now the Ravens are in trouble, down by 15. But they get a great play here from Wiseman, who gets it to the 26. Lamar should have gotten sacked there. The Dragons got to finish that play, and they got to tackle Wiseman. Here's Cornelius Reese. He gets it to the 2, and that brings us to the 2-minute warning as the Ravens look to score their first touchdown of the game. 2nd and goal. Lamar looking short. It's caught by Iggy Maddox, laying out for the grab, and the Ravens finally find the end zone. It's 21-13 as St. Louis looks to chew clock. Problem is they lost yards on all 3 plays. Ravens with a touchdown and a 2 can tie it up. Cornelius Reese brings it to the 30. Clock is ticking. 30 seconds left. 3rd and 10. Ravens, of course, out of timeouts. Lamar looks to throw it under pressure. It's caught by Palmer, who gets it to the 14. They're going to have to move quickly. They're going to have time for maybe 2 more plays if they're lucky. Probably not. This might be it with the man in motion. Lamar snaps it with 3 seconds left. This'll do it for the end zone. It's broken up. Clock hits 0. And the Dragons win it here in week 1. 21-13 over the Ravens in a Super Bowl rematch as Baltimore does not get revenge on the Dragons. Certainly an exciting game here, a defensive battle Puma Whitlock had a really strong game despite the fact that the offense couldn't really move the ball. Lamar, on the other hand, was shut down, unlike the Super Bowl. Darwin had a good game. Milan, not so much. Darian Wiseman had a big game, but he did not get a carry after the first half, which makes no sense to me. 6 for 107 and a touchdown for Modelo, regular day in the offense. Colin Robinson also played pretty well. The offensive line was not good, though. They've got to be better. But I'm really impressed by the defense. The pass rush was solid. The run defense wasn't good, but the Ravens didn't run the ball in the second half, so it didn't matter. And I thought the pass defense was excellent. The coverage was great. Let's take a look at some scores around the league. As for the players of the week, Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, Mustafa Nasir, and Dragan Markovic. That brings us into week 2, but first, I have some exciting news. Puma Whitlock can officially become a 99 overall. We've been waiting for this for quite some time, and now he doesn't need the morale boost. He's a 99. The top-ranked quarterback in the game, and it should certainly stay that way for quite some time, as that brings us into week 2 against Seattle. They lost last week in a high-scoring game to the Rams, although both offenses really were not that good. Both QBs really struggled. The future of the NFC West, everybody, Zachary Bridger and Gavin Hennessy with 6 combined interceptions. Nonetheless, there's still a lot of reason to be excited about Bridger, the 3rd overall pick out of Cal. He's got the rocket arm. He's really accurate. It's just about what he can do out of structure. He's got plenty of weapons with Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, and Jackson Smith-Njigba all still here, all leading the way. Devin Witherspoon picked off Hennessy twice last week, and they've got some fun players across the board defensively, including their new starting corner outside of Witherspoon in Tristan Whitlock, Puma's younger cousin. So that should certainly be a fun storyline, as that brings us to Lumen Field here for week 2. The Seattle Seahawks have consistently been a really good team in this series, and of our 3 division rivals, they have always by far given us the harder time, but they were abysmal last year, and they're hoping Zachary Bridger can lead this team to new heights as he has to throw it away on 3rd and 9. He looked good, though, moving in the pocket, which again is sort of the one question mark with him. As the Dragons have it back, Milan Santa with blocks. Big start for the run game as he gets nearly 30. Milan Santa did not have 30 yards at all in the entire game against Baltimore, so already a good start, but unfortunately the drive ends as Devin Bush is in for the sack. When I saw that Seattle brought back Devin Bush, I was devastated. Over the years, Bush has tormented us, and I was so relieved that he was not on their team, but now he's back. 3rd and 4 up the middle for Alalis Nguyen, who gets it to the 31. No relations to Tyler Nguyen, who of course is now the backup quarterback for Seattle. 2nd and 3, pitch to Walker. He loses 7. Simeon Bonnet brings him down. Quiet week 1 for Bonnet. He had a couple nice plays in the run game, but no sacks. Now it's 3rd and 10. Bridger looks to throw it under some pressure. On the run, it's caught by DK, who gets it to the 48. I did not know Zachary Bridger had that in his bag. I'm impressed. 3rd and 11, Bridger under pressure, throws it away. He seems to be a lot more aware in the pocket than I expected, and he seems to move better than I would have thought as well. Dragons back with it, scoreless with 3 to go in the first, as it's Wilson Villafana who gets it out of bounds to the 33-yard line. Good start to the drive here for St. Louis. They're moving it. Play action for Juskins. Puma on the run for Arturo Modelo with a block. Can he get in the end zone? Not quite. Down at the 2. Puma's 2nd completion of the game. He hasn't been very efficient so far. 1st and goal. Darwin Juskins walks it in before getting trampled. But nonetheless, Juskins in a homecoming is in for the score. The University of Washington alum makes it 7-0. Into the second quarter now from the 36. Seattle looking to put themselves on the board and possibly tie this game. Bridger looks to throw it downfield. It's hauled in by Alalis Nguyen, who gets it to the 21. They're moving it so far as they now have it in the red zone. 3rd and 5. Bridger, empty, incomplete, looking for Jackson Smith-Njigba. Good coverage there by Lucifer, who of course has found a home in the slot where he excelled last year in the playoffs and is staying this year. Seattle will make the field goal at 7-3. Dragons back with it. Puma goes short on 3rd and 8 for Marion Cephas, who does not get the first down. Wrapped up on the play by the former Dragon Trenton Simpson, as Amandre Mack is banged up, but unfortunately this comes plays after Mason Rosenberg, the center, getting injured. So that's 2 offensive linemen down within the span of like 3 plays. Seattle back with it. Bridger sacked. Jabril Fofana in the backfield for a loss of 3. Fofana wasn't a guy I was planning to extend, but given the price tag, I felt that it was worth it continuing his development. 3rd and 13, broken up. Nice hit in the secondary. Okuda was the one who jarred it out. Bourgeois was there as well, and the Dragons get it back. From the 39, handoff for Juskins. He finds a hole. Juskins tries to spin away from the safety. He cannot, as now Amarion Cephas is hurt. That's 3 starters on the offense banged up. 3rd and 4, Puma Whitlock on the run, looking to make a play. He's got Modelo open, but they say he was out of bounds. And now Gift Aaron is hurt. That's 4 players on offense, and the Dragons are going to go for it. Here on 4th down from the 40, they're in no man's land as Juskins just barely gets the first down. That was close. They are lucky that they got that. 2nd and 6 now. Here's Puma. Under pressure. He is sacked. Scarborough leads the way amongst others with a loss of 10 as the offensive line struggles continue. But that'll happen when there's 2 backups now as he misfires on 3rd down for Modelo. Puma just 5 for 11 up to this point. And Zachary Bridger hasn't been more accurate himself. Both quarterbacks have missed a lot of throws as he has to throw it away here, nearly sacked in the end zone by Ryan Nada, and he's 7 of 17. Dragons have it back, 3rd and 7. Play action for Santa. Puma on the run, has to throw it away. He's 5 of 13 now, and the offensive line's got to do a better job. This doesn't look like the offensive line of last year at all. They've been a disaster so far. Walker loses 3 to start the possession for Seattle. Another tackle for loss for Simeon Bonnet, who continues his strong start in the run game. 2nd and 13 now from the 10. Bridger looks to throw it up the middle with a strike for Nguyen. He gets it to the 29. Final play before the 2-minute warning now. Bridger looking. He's got Nguyen again, who's been the go-to guy thus far. Ronracus Barber has really struggled with him, while the other receivers have been quiet until now. DK Metcalf to the 25. Now at the 15. Seahawks looking to get the lead here before halftime. Bridger calls an audible. Everybody seemingly in motion with 1:18 to go in the half. Both teams have all 3 timeouts. Bridger looks to throw it for the end zone. It's DK with the score, and the Seattle Seahawks take the lead with a little over a minute left in the half. 2nd and 5. Puma with open space. He looks to run. Outruns the defender and is out of bounds, gaining 28. Huge play on the ground for Puma Whitlock. From the 45, though, he is sacked again as he loses around 5. It's Johnny Green who brings him down, and they call time. Under more pressure, he throws it away on 3rd and 9. These guys got a block. He has no time to throw the ball, and that'll wrap up the first half. Another slow start offensively. 19 passing plays, 45 passing yards. That should tell you all you need to know. Puma has not had a great start, but his offensive line has been a train wreck up to this point. I think we've been pretty good defensively, but Zachary Bridger has a perfect passer rating in the intermediate game. He hasn't really been effective otherwise, though, but that's where we've got to stop him. To start the 3rd, Milan Santa with a big run. Tries to cut to the outside. He gets it to the 35. 6 carries, 67 yards for Santa. Certainly a far cry from his game last week. 2nd and 10 on the run. Arturo Modelo makes the play, and he is into the red zone to the 14. Quick start to the possession here for St. Louis. 1st and goal at the 2. Santa will plow his way through for a touchdown, his first of the year. And the Dragons are back ahead as they lead it 14-10. A long drive to start the 3rd as Seattle gets it back. 3rd and 2. Bridger floats it up for Walker. Nobody's in front of him. It's a 67-yard touchdown. Jalen Bourgeois wanted to play the ball there, and it backfires. Seattle quickly back ahead. 2 to go in the 3rd. Puma Whitlock on the run. He's got his tight end, Voafana, who is tackled out of bounds by Lance Sturlovich Jr. at the 21. Now from the 13, 2nd and 2. Puma with an open rushing lane, scrambles with it instead, and he has an open man in the end zone. It's Modelo for the score. He took a hit from Witherspoon, but it doesn't matter. Arturo Modelo hangs on for his 2nd touchdown of the year and his 50th touchdown of his career. So with that, it's 21-17. Both offenses, particularly St. Louis, really coming alive here in the third with a minute to go. Pitch for Walker to the outside. He loses 2. Simeon Bonnet again continues to make splash plays against the run. And now it's 3rd and 12 from the 23. It's a screen for Walker. He's got some blocks, but will not get the first down as he's wrapped up by Owen Popo. Into the fourth quarter now. St. Louis looking to finish off the job. 3rd and 3. Santa does not get it. He gains nothing. Trenton Simpson brings him down. And look at this. They're going to go for it. They're in no man's land, and they want to get the first down. Keep the offense on the field as Darwin Juskins does exactly that. St. Louis has ran the ball down Seattle's throats today, looking to continue to do so, although it's a pass on 1st and goal. Puma on the run has Santa open in the flat for a score. A rushing and receiving touchdown on the day from Alon Santa, and it's 28-17. The Dragons' offense looking significantly better here in the second half. Puma's made some really nice plays under pressure in this one. Here's Bridger on 1st down. He's picked off. Owen Popo with his 2nd interception of the year. He's got nobody in front of him, and he takes it to the crib for a pick 6. Owen Popo continuing his excellent start to the year. It's 35-17. Bridger up the middle for Metcalf. He gets it to the 41-yard line. Seattle looking to move as quick as they can with a little over 3 to go. 2nd and 4 now. Bridger is intercepted again. Cam Lucifer picks it off. He's got nobody in front of him, but he will dive down at the 20, and that was on purpose. He could have gone for the pick 6, but he wants to be a good teammate, give the Dragons some room to chew the clock in the game, and don't let Seattle get the ball back. 3rd and 7. Santa will not get the first down, so Seattle's going to end up with the ball anyway. The Dragons would kick a field goal. Seattle wouldn't do anything afterwards, and that'll do it. 38-17. St. Louis takes it here in Week 2 against Seattle. The Dragons now 2-0 on the year. Certainly not the perfect game. I know the score looks like a blowout, but this game was quite competitive until around halfway through the fourth quarter, where we really just stomped our foot and ended this game. But the offense certainly was not perfect. The offensive line has to be better, and Puma Whitlock really was not effective in the first half because of it. He was a lot better in the second half, but still only mustered up 176 passing yards, which is really low for him. As for Bridger, I thought he was pretty solid. He made some good plays, but he was overall pretty inefficient. The run game for us was really good. For them, it was really bad. That was the difference here. 9 catches for Modelo, doing his thing per usual, although nobody else really stood out in the receiving game. And then defensively, back-to-back good weeks. I thought the run defense, again, was fantastic. The pass defense was a little more spotty than it was against Baltimore, but still overall pretty good. And, of course, we had the 2 interceptions late from Popo and Lucifer to basically ice the game. But we've got 2 new injuries. Gift Aaron Jr. and then Kevin Cabrera, 2 depth players, are going to be out for a little while. But Rosenberg, Mack, and Cephas, all of whom missed most of the game last week, they're all fine, which is a huge sigh of relief. Here are the scores around the league as for the players of the week. Johnny Gordon, Patrick Mahomes, Emmanuel Forbes, and L'Jarius Sneed. That brings us into Week 3. We've got a breakout linebacker, and obviously, it's Owen Popo. He's gotten off to a great start this year. Interceptions in each of the first 2 weeks, including a pick 6, to basically ice the game last week. And we'll see if we can move him up to Superstar X Factor against the 49ers, who, of course, have taken a steep decline in this series, led by Brock Purdy. But if things go south, they have Chance Matsumolo now, along with second-round rookie Kalawaye Sasavila. The skill position players look a little bit different. No more Deebo Samuel, but they've added Zay Flowers and Chris Godwin. While the offense has changed a lot over the past year, the defense still looks quite similar and is still the strength of the team, featuring number 2 overall pick Darpees Emajoy, the 85 overall edge rusher. So let's see how this game goes. Week 3, the 2-0 St. Louis Dragons looking to add another win to the win column, facing off against the 1-1 San Francisco 49ers, who are obviously striving for a better season than last year. And if they can win this game, that would really go a long way in positioning themselves to a good start. Second down here from the 25. Purdy looks to throw it under pressure. He is sacked. Malachi Weston leads the cavalry, his first sack of the year. He's joined by Jamiron Barber, his first sack as a Dragon, and Warwick Eldred Jr., his first sack as a pro. That's the first sack by the defensive line all year. 3rd and 18, broken up by Jeff Okudah who got his mitts on it, but is unable to come down with the turnover. And St. Louis gets the ball here with pretty good field position from the 45. Puma on 3rd and 11, rolls out, under pressure, floats it up. It's Modelo to the 17. Again, Puma Whitlock had no time to throw it, but Modelo was able to create just enough separation from the defender to make the grab. 2nd and 9, risky throw is caught by Colin Robinson for the touchdown. Puma Whitlock threads the needle there between multiple defenders right into the hands of Robinson. And it's 7-0, a quick start for the Dragons, whose offense has struggled in the first half in each of their first 2 games of the year. Niners back with it, 2nd and 10. Purdy under pressure, has an open man downfield. It's Theo Witherspoon who gets it to the 36, one of the talented young receivers on this roster looking for more playing time. 2nd and 1. Purdy pitches it late for Sanders. That was a risky play. If Darren Hamilton didn't trip, he could have made a play on the ball there, but nonetheless, it is a touchdown for Sanders. Niners tie it up. Dragons back with it, 3rd and inches, play action. Puma looking short, and it's broken up. Cephas takes a shot from Nick Bosa. That one looked personal. The reason why the Dragons went play action and wanted to go downfield there was because they knew they'd go for it on 4th and inches. It's Richard Rushing, the rookie, who gets the first down. Milan Santa got injured early on this drive. He will not return to the game, so we could see plenty more Richard Rushing the rest of the way, along with obviously Juskins, as Arturo Modelo makes a nice play there on the play action. He brings it to the 28. Quick start for Modelo. He's already got 4 catches here in the first quarter. 2nd and 10. Puma looking back for Modelo once again. Unable to make it to the end zone as he takes a big hit from Fred Warner, but not before bringing it to the 8. What a start for Modelo. 3rd and goal now. It's Barber, who does not get in. 6'7", 360. But he's wrapped up by Kylan Childs to start the 2nd. 4th and goal. St. Louis looks to punch it in, and they do. QB sneak for Puma Whitlock, and it's 14-7. St. Louis had 3 chances there on the goal line to send it in, but they finally do it on 4th and goal. And with that, it's back to a 7-point lead. Niners back with it. 3rd and 4 from the 47. Purdy looks to throw it downfield as an open man, and that will go for a first down. It's the new acquisition, Zay Flowers, who of course had the big penalty against the Dragons in the Super Bowl, and now we get to see him twice a year. 2nd and goal, Dexter Sanders up the middle. He is thrown into the end zone by Hamilton, his 2nd touchdown of the first half, and this game is tied at 14. So the Niners march down the field, make a play, and the Dragons get it back in an offensive game so far as Puma throws it up and it's caught inbounds. What a play by Puma under a ton of pressure. Launches it for Modelo, who comes down with it to the 27. Modelo's got 6 catches for 119 yards already. 3rd and 6, though, he's incomplete, throwing out at the sack from Kylan Childs. Cameron Dicker would make the field goal, and it's 17-14, as that brings us to the ensuing kickoff with 4 to go in the half. David Moore Jr. receives it in front of the end zone. Moore finds a hole. He's got nobody in front of him. Lucifer tries to catch him. I don't think he will. 100 yards down the field. A kick return touchdown for David Moore Jr. And the 49ers take the lead. 21-17. The Dragons will get it right back on offense. 2nd and 8. Whoop! Nice move by Modelo. His 7th catch at the half. He's up to around 140 yards on the day. St. Louis would march all the way down the field. They now have it at the 1. Looking to punch it in. It's Richard Rushing with the rushing touchdown. The first of his career. And the rookie out of Texas Tech puts the Dragons back ahead 24-21 as Purdy is intercepted on the following possession by Okudah. Big play in the secondary from Jeff Okudah, and the Dragons have a chance to add to their lead. Under 10 to go. Puma, under pressure, rolls to the right, throws it on the run, and it's caught for a score. The rookie, DeAubrey Thomas, with his first NFL touchdown. Both Richard Rushing and DeAubrey Thomas get their first career scores. St. Louis with 31 here in the first half, as the Niners will have one more play here. It's a kick return for Moore. Tries to juke away from the defender. Are you kidding? David Moore might have just done it again. Thomas cannot catch up. It's another kick return touchdown for David Moore Jr. his second of the half. What a start to this game. In weeks 1 and 2, the first half was all about defense. Here it's 31-28. Albeit our defense does deserve a break. They've only allowed half of those points with 2 kick return touchdowns by David Moore. Other than special teams, though, I thought we had a good half. The passing game has been brilliant. Arturo Modelo has 10 catches for 160 yards. While defensively, Brock Purdy's passer rating in the intermediate game is 7, but in the deep game, it's at 110. We've got to stop the deep ball. Speaking of, Puma floats it downfield. It's Modelo wide open to the 40. Not covering the guy who now has 11 catches for pretty much 200 yards. That's a strategy. Is it a good one? No, but it's a strategy. From the 29 now, Modelo once again over 200 yards on the day as he gets it to the 6. Arturo Modelo has had a game for the ages. This is incredible. 3rd and goal, short throw, caught by Robinson, just shy of the end zone. He is hit at the 1 by Jamel Dean. 4th and goal, you know what the Dragons are going to do. They want to punch this baby in. They are going to go for it. Handoff for Juskins. He does not get it. The Niners with the stop, and it remains 31-28. The Niners get the ball back. They've only had it for 7 minutes today, and we're halfway through the 3rd quarter. It's a fullback dive on 3rd and 9 for Callaway. He gets nothing. With the bad field position, they had no room to do anything, but they'd still take that given the alternative of a Dragons touchdown. St. Louis right back on offense, continuing to dominate time of possession as Puma floats it downfield for Robinson. He gets it to the 1. It's a gain of 46 yards for Colin Robinson. We'll see if the Dragons can punch it in now and extend their lead. Puma on 1st and goal. It's caught for a score by who else than Arturo Modelo, who's up to 13, 14. I don't know. He has a bunch of catches, put it that way. Modelo has now scored in all 3 games this year, and it's 38-28. Niners back with it, 2.5 to go in the 3rd. Here's Purdy on the run, under pressure from Bonnet and Weston as it's incomplete. Good start here to the second half defensively as the Dragons get it back. 2nd and 2, under a minute left in the 3rd. Puma on the run, Modelo wide open. Why are they not covering him? I get that he's an insane route runner, but Jesus Christ, have 3 guys on him if you need to. 3rd and 5 now. It's Richard rushing, tries to outrun Warner, and he's just shy of the yard to gain. Good effort, though, from the Rook. 4th and inches. St. Louis will go for it, and it's a pass. Modelo, incomplete. The Dragons never throw the ball on 4th and short, so I think they figured they'd catch the Niners off guard. Maybe they did catch the Niners off guard, but San Francisco was smart enough to still have somebody on Modelo, because if Puma's looking to throw the ball on 4th down, we all know who he's throwing it to. Purdy on the option, loses 4. Another TFL for Simeon Bonnet, who still has no sacks, but he's still been really good as a run defender. 3rd and 14, incomplete, looking for Witherspoon. Good coverage there by Darren Hamilton, who's had some nice plays so far this season. Dragons back with it on offense. Play action. Modelo smothered in coverage. Doesn't matter. He comes down with it. Puma now over 400 passing yards on the day, most of which are to Arturo. 3rd and 4. Voafana gets nothing. He's wrapped up by Nick Bosa. The Dragons would kick, and it is a 13-point lead with 4 to go in the game. Niners hoping for a miracle. They haven't scored yet here in this half as Malachi Weston is in the backfield with a sack. 4th and 15. It's really time for San Francisco to go for it. There's not much of a choice given the clock. Up the middle. Witherspoon is wide open. He takes a shot from Cortez Navarro, the 6th-year pro out of UCLA, but he does get the first down. Here's another nice play here for San Francisco, now to the 21. A couple plays later, from the 1, 2nd and goal. Back to Witherspoon again. This time for the touchdown, and it is a 1-score game. The Dragons got to finish this one on the ground, possibly. 3rd and 1, game on the line here. It is going to be a pass, and who else? Arturo Modelo breaks the tackle from Jalen Fox, and he is wrapped up at the 40. Dragons win it 41-35 off of a historic game from Arturo Modelo, who caught 17 passes for roughly 270 receiving yards. One of the greatest, actually the greatest receiving performance I have ever seen by far. Now, that's not to take away from Puma Whitlock. He was also really good, 428 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Brock Purdy was not so great. Quarterbacks have not played well against us early this year. Darwin Juskins had a solid game with Milan Santa missing really the entire day. And then Arturo Modello, 17 catches, 285 yards. I undersold him earlier. My apologies. He also finished with a touchdown. This dude's incredible. He might not even be the best receiver in the league. He might just be the best player in the NFL at this point, given his track record over the last couple of seasons. He's over 500 yards now through 3 games. Defensively, I actually thought we were pretty good. I know that we allowed 35 points, but keep in mind, 2 of those were off of kick return touchdowns. And I think the defense overall has been quite good through 3 weeks. The pass rush still needs to improve. Malachi Weston had a nice game, though. I like that we've been able to force consistent takeaways, 4 interceptions through the first 3 games of the season, whereas the offense has not turned the ball over once. No interceptions, no fumbles, no nothing. Gotta shout out David Moore, though. He's a dog. 2 kick return touchdowns in the first half. Unfortunately, though, we don't get the breakout challenge for Owen Popo. He was close. I think he had a TFL and a sack, but unfortunately that was not enough. As we take a look at our Week 3 scores around the NFL, Jacksonville beats the Titans 41-38. That's interesting. We've got Jacksonville on the schedule this week. Players of the week. Somebody's missing. It goes to Stanley Cubbage in the NFC. I get that he had a great game, scoring 5 touchdowns, but did Arturo Modello not just do that? Modello had tied for the 6th most receptions in a game, and he had the 10th most yards in a game. I feel like that should win Player of the Week. His last reception, by the way, put him at 6,000 career receiving yards on the nose, and Robinson just hit the 1,000 yards mark as well. Modello's over some notable players here. He has more career receiving yards than TJ Hawkinson, who's played exactly 100 more games than him. He also has more than guys like Christian McCaffrey, Noah Fant. There's J-Mo, who's off to a really good start this year with the Raiders. It's just unbelievable what this guy has done. I don't know how he didn't win the Offensive Player of the Week, but the craziest part is you could argue that he didn't even have the best receiving performance of the week. Elijah Moore had 11 catches for 224 yards, but he scored 4 times. He had 6 less catches and 60 less yards, but he scored an additional 3 touchdowns, and he had to catch the ball from Otto Askew, which is a lot harder than, say, with Puma Whitlock. But Otto's having a good year. I got to give him credit. Defensively, Dre Greenlaw for the Saints, and then Josh Sweat, who had 3 sacks for the Jaguars, who, again, we'll get to see here in Week 4 on Sunday Night Football. So far, it's been a great start to the year for Puma Whitlock. Nearly 1,000 passing yards, 7 passing touchdowns, and most importantly, he has not turned the ball over. He has been awesome up to this point. He looks even better as a passer than he did last year when he threw for 5,000 yards and 40 scores, along with under 10 picks. We have a tandem breakout chance for Amarion Cephas, who was inspired by the game that Arturo Modello had. I was pretty inspired too, I can't lie. Hopefully we get a big game out of Cephas here, who looks to break out, as he's off to a pretty slow start this year. We gave him a lot of money. We have big expectations for him, and he's been kind of disappointing. Obviously, he was injured for most of Week 2, but in the 2 games he's been healthy, he's not only been overshadowed by Modello, but also Colin Robinson, who's been really good. Jacksonville, of course, led by Trevor Lawrence, who statistically has been the best quarterback in the NFL through 3 weeks. He has been unbelievable. This Jacksonville team might as well be the Clemson Jaguars. Jace Fears, the running back, Clemson. Trevor Lawrence, Clemson. Their backup quarterback, Armani Forrest, is from Clemson. Their top receiver, though, Dom McKnight, is out. They're going to rely on veteran Christian Kirk along with rookies Tyler Scarlett and Tyshawn Cinco. That also features tight ends Popeye Tickleton and the veteran Evan Engram, who is still around. Defensively, they're led by Trayvon Walker, amongst others. Overall, not a particularly deep team, but Trevor Lawrence has been really good this year. Of course, they have former Dragon offensive tackle Bugsy Briggs, who did not have a great regular season last year, but obviously was awesome in the playoffs, cementing himself as a Dragons legend in that respect. We'll see if St. Louis can improve to 4-0, returning home for the first time since Week 1 here on Sunday Night Football. Again, only 5 primetime games this year for the Dragons, 3 of which are today. Trevor Lawrence and the Jags start with the football up the middle. Nice play to around the 18-yard line. That's the rookie out of UCLA, Tyler Scarlett, who makes the grab. 3rd and goal now from the 2. Lawrence pitches it for Jace Fears, and he does not get it. Jalen Bourgeois brings him down. Bourgeois' always been an inconsistent cover player, but I think he's really improved so far this year in the run game. Dragons back with it, 3rd and 2. Wilson Villafana hangs on for the first down as he gets it to the 38-yard line. Jacksonville, by the way, did make the field goal in the red zone for those of you who did not see the scoreboard. They lead at 3-0 as Puma is sacked. It's A.J. Hunter in the backfield, forcing a loss of around 7. 3rd and long now for St. Louis. Under a minute left in the first quarter. Very quick start. Puma under pressure. Gets it to Robinson, who was unable to get the first down. Big play there by Denzel Ward, the veteran corner, to bring him down. Dragons would make the field goal, tied at 3 going into the second. 2nd and 8 from the 20. Handoff here for Jace Fears, and he will fear Simeon Bonnet most likely as he's wrapped up for a loss of 2. Owen Popote banged up. Should be fine to return pretty shortly, though, as it's now 3rd and 10 here for Jacksonville. Play action. Lawrence looking downfield. It's tipped, and it's caught by Kirk. Navarro can't catch him. It's an 82-yard touchdown for Christian Kirk. That's just unfortunate. Ronrakis Barber, the one who tipped it, I don't know how he's feeling right now. He's got to come down with that ball, or if not, just bat it down. Dragons back with it. Tough throw, hauled in by Amarion Cephas, who gets it to the 28. Arturo Modelo so far, though, is off to a quiet start. I think he only has 1 catch. Jacksonville's done a great job with him so far after his big game last week. Juskins loses a lot of yards on 2nd down. He's wrapped up by Wake, and that'll make it a 3rd and 14 for the Dragons. Play action. Puma rolls out to the right, under pressure as an open man downfield, and Robinson can't hang on. Takes a shot as he's unable to keep possession of the ball. Dragons would kick, and it's now 10-6. 3rd and 15. Lawrence downfield. He connects for a first down. It's Marco Franklin, the other receiver on this team, to the 31. Jacksonville's had a few 3rd and longs so far today. St. Louis has got to do a better job stopping those plays as Fears loses 3. Owen Popote brings him down. The Dragons' run defense since week 1 has been quite good. 3rd and 13 now from the 34. Lawrence looks to throw it. Under pressure, he is sacked and he fumbles it. Who's going to pick it up? It is Lawrence who recovers. That was Simeon Bonnet with his first sack of the year, and it's a strip sack. Ultimately, the Dragons don't recover. Bonnet seems to think otherwise, but it does lead to a stop nonetheless. At the 2-minute warning, Puma Whitlock has an open man downfield. It's Robinson, who this time will hang on, bringing it to the 50. Big start for Robinson. He's been the leading receiver so far today, as Puma fumbles the ball now, and it's picked up by the Jags. Devin Lloyd with the fumble recovery off of the strip sack by A.J. Hunter, his 2nd of the game. That ball clearly came out, and so both quarterbacks who have not turned the ball over this season each fumble it. Pumas results in a fumble loss. Screen here for Jacksonville. They will get the first down with the backup running back, Cooper Straw, who is out of bounds inside the 50. Now from the 36, 3rd and 3, under 30 to go in the half. Lawrence looks to throw it. Under pressure, and he will throw it away. What does Jacksonville do here on 4th down? Do you go for the long field goal? Do you go for it? With only 1 timeout, I think kicking probably is the right call, and that's what they'll do. It's a 53-yarder, certainly not a gimme. It's up, and it is good. 13-6. Dragons get it back with 10 seconds, maybe hoping for one more miracle here before the end of the half as they look to take a dent into this lead. Milan Santa gets the carry, so they're not going to try to do anything crazy, but face mask. Interesting. So not only does St. Louis get an additional 15 yards, but it also stops the clock. Now they're really in business to try to make a play, push themselves into field goal range with 6 seconds left from the 43. Play action. Puma looks to throw it. Goes downfield. Amarion Cephas is wide open, and he does not get out of bounds in time. Just misses. And that'll wrap up the first half. The Jags dodge a bullet. They lead 13-6. Another slow-ish start for the offense. And then defensively, we really haven't been that good either. Both sides of the ball have been really mediocre in this game. As we go into the second half, I want to see a little bit more efficiency out of the passing game. We haven't really gotten the deep ball going, but I want to focus on the intermediate game. I think that's where we can really attack them. And then defensively, Trevor Lawrence is a perfect passer rating in the intermediate area of the field, so we've got to stop that. Dragons with it to start the third as Puma is sacked again. A.J. Hunter with his third. He has been dominant today, so much so that the starting left guard, J.T. Robinson, has been benched for the third-round rookie, Delvin Scarimer. On third down, it's Robinson who hangs on for the first down. Colin Robinson's having himself another day, nearing the 100 yards mark, while Modelo has been a complete non-factor. The intended target there, but the pass is incomplete. Dragons settle for another field goal. We only have one touchdown today, and it was off of a freak-tipped pass. Jags back with it. Here's Jace Fears down the field, wrapped up by Bourgeois. First good run of the game for Fears, who nearly doubles his yardage total on the day. 5.5 here to go in the third. 2nd and 7 for Jacksonville. Lawrence up the middle. It's hauled in by Cooper Straw, who gets it to the 32. Lawrence has been ridiculously efficient today, 16 of 22, not putting the ball in harm's way. He's been excellent. 3rd and 10 now. Trevor Lawrence looks to throw it under pressure from Jamie Ron Barber as the pass is incomplete. Barber only has half a sack, but I think he's been pretty effective so far. He's been active in the backfield, making plays. Jacksonville is to kick again at 16-9. Shout out these two kickers. They are both 3 for 3 on field goals as Milan Santa does not get the first down. He's wrapped up by Jordan. 4th and 2. You know what St. Louis is going to do here on 4th and short. They will look to go for it. Puma Whitlock calls an audible. The Dragons have not been overly effective so far this year on 4th down, and it is a pass. Under pressure, slammed to the ground by Trayvon Walker. No time to throw at all. And Puma Whitlock sits on the ground, dazed and confused. The Dragons just with 9 points going into the 4th as they trail by a touchdown. 2nd and 6. Lawrence downfield. It's hauled in by Tyler Scarlett, who gets it to the 22. Good start to the drive here for Jacksonville. Any form of points makes it a 2-score lead. We'll see if they can do it here with 8 to go. Lawrence looking for the end zone. He's got his man for the score. The tight end, Popeye Tickleton, is in for a touchdown. And now the Dragons are in a little bit of trouble. Their undefeated season in jeopardy. They trail 23-9. The offense has got to wake up. No touchdowns yet through 30-plus minutes. 3rd and 2. Nothing for Milan Santa as he is wrapped up by Tyson Campbell. With 7 to go, I don't think it's too early to go for it at this range in the field, given that we are really desperate. Juskins does not get it. I thought in real time he did, but they're going to say Jordan brings him down shy of the first down marker. So Jacksonville holds with a stop, and they can look to finish it here for the most part. 3rd and 2 from the 12. Lawrence's pass is broken up for Kirk as Ronracus Barber got a hand on it. Jacksonville 100% should kick. Make it a 3-score game. Put yourselves in the power position, but they're going to go for it. I don't agree with this call at all. They're being greedy, but they do convert as Jace Fears brings it to the 4. We'll see if now they can possibly get a touchdown and really turn this game into a complete blowout with under 4 to go. 3rd and 2. Lawrence looks to throw it under pressure from Creed and Barber as he throws it away. And after all that, Jacksonville's going to settle with a field goal. I guess it kind of worked out, though, because they took an extra minute or so off the clock. Doug Peterson really going big brain mode on us, and it's 26-9 with under 4 to go. The Dragons trail by 17. They're in a lot of trouble. They've got to move fast if they want any chance to pull off this miracle. Up the middle, Colin Robinson comes down with it to the 41, already going no huddle, under 3 to go. Puma Whitlock is in the zone as it's a play action for Juskins. On the run, has an open man downfield. It's Robinson, who continues to be the go-to guy. With Arturo Modelo having a quiet game, Robinson has really stood out. 3rd and goal from the 1. Just under 2.5 to go. Puma looks to throw it. Goes short. Modelo once again with the touchdown. Arturo Modelo has scored in all 4 games today, and it's a 2-score deficit. Modelo has still had a good 6 or 7 catches today, but he only has like 30 yards. Jacksonville's done a tremendous job covering him as they recover the onside kick. Doesn't matter because it wasn't kicked far enough anyway. And they'll look to finish the drive here chewing some clock as Jace Fears gets the first down, bringing them to the 14. Possibly looking to get a touchdown, though, for good measure. 3rd and 3 at the 2-minute warning. We'll see if Jacksonville can push this one into the end zone. It's a pass. Lawrence short. He's got Christian Kirk, his 2nd score of the game. Lawrence's 3rd. and it's back to a 3-possession lead with just around a minute to go. Puma's in the zone, going to start throwing this ball up as he sails it downfield. Colin Robinson again to the 30. Robinson's got to be nearing like the 150 mark at this point. Now with 2 seconds left, final play of the game, it won't matter, but they do get a touchdown with DeAubrey Thomas, his second of the year. The Dragons with 2 late touchdowns. The offense with a sense of urgency finally played well, but it doesn't matter. The offense wasn't good enough through 3.5 quarters, and the defense had by far their worst game of the year as the Dragons fall to 3-1, losing on Sunday Night Football 33-23, our first loss since Week 16 of last season. Overall, not a really good performance at all. Trevor Lawrence carved this defense up. Puma Whitlock, I think individually had a good game. He's definitely not the reason why we lost. He wasn't great, but he definitely wasn't bad. The run game was not great, but you know who was? Colin Robinson, 9 for 158. Modelo had 8 catches, but he only had 38 yards. Jacksonville really clamped him up, but all of their focus was off of Robinson, who had a great day. DeAubrey Thomas also scored, while Christian Kirk scored twice for Jacksonville. The offensive line, especially the interior, has to be better. I feel like the tackles have been good. Sharif Sully has been great again this year, but the interior has been a mess. A.J. Hunter had 3 sacks, including forcing the fumble earlier. Shout out these kickers, though. They were busy. 7 field goals, making all 7. Overall, though, we had another good game from Puma Whitlock, who is averaging over 300 passing yards a game, 12 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Omarion Cephas does not complete the breakout challenge. It's ironic that we did have somebody other than Arturo Modelo go for 150 yards, but unfortunately, it was not him as his quiet start to the year continues. As for the players of the week, they ultimately end up being Callaghan October, Isaiah Pacheco, Suleiman Jane, and Mokhtar Atuara. That brings us into Week 5, the final game of the day, Sunday Night Football in Carolina against the Panthers. Both us and Carolina lost their first games of the year. We're down to 4 undefeated teams. The only one in the NFC is the Washington Commanders. Our regular season matchup against Carolina last year determined the number 1 seed. Carolina won that game in Week 2. The Panthers in this series have had our number for the most part. We've had a hard time beating them. We lost to them in the NFC Championship in Season 4, but we got revenge in the NFC Championship last year, and with that, Carolina's looking for revenge. Still led by Bryce Young, although they have a new backup, Deshaun Watson. Saquon Barkley retired, and Eze Adebayo has become the full-time starting running back. Matthias Abanda, of course, still leads the receiving corps, and really outside of the loss of Saquon Barkley to retirement, this roster is pretty much the exact same as it was a year ago. But Brian Burns, who historically always plays really well against us, will not play today. He'll be replaced in the starting lineup by rookie edge rusher Jarrett Shorts. So we'll see what happens in Week 5. Final game of the day, final game before the bye week for the Dragons, as both St. Louis and Carolina look to get back on the win column after starting the year 3-0, but losing in Week 4 as Carolina dropped a 14-11 defensive battle against their division rival, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, featuring former Dragons, Samasoni Saluni and Demore Diggins. Dragons start on offense. It's a fumble, and it's nearly picked up by Carolina. Puma recovers it, saving a scoop and score, and that was the rookie, Jarrett Shorts, with the strip sack. Very smart play there by Puma to pick up the ball, preventing the touchdown. 3rd and 13, broken up for Cephas as Dakare Pickett, the first rounder out of Michigan, is there with the deflection. The youngest player in the NFL at just 20 years old with the stop. Carolina with it. Young takes a shot from Matthias Abanda. He gets 32. Abanda, of course, came in that same draft class as Arturo Modelo, and while he hasn't been as good, he has been an excellent piece for this Carolina offense, worth moving up in the top 10 for as they did. Bryce Young on the ground gets around 17, brings him inside the 25. Now they have it at the 2. Perfect start to this game for Carolina as they will punch it in with the fullback. Lewis Cleary is clearly in the end zone, and it's 7-0. Dragons got to pick it up after a bad game last week and a poor first 4 minutes today. 3rd and 6. Screen for Milan Santa, and he does not get the first down. What a tackle by Jameer Woods, another guy who historically really plays well against the Dragons, one of the few defensive players who has multiple career interceptions against Puma Whitlock. Panthers back with it. 1st and 13. Young fumbles. It's a strip sack. It's picked up by Bonnet for a scoop and score. Malachi Weston is in for the sack, and Simeon Bonnet is there for the defensive touchdown. That ball is clearly out. A possible huge momentum shift as Carolina had been dominant through the first 6 minutes of this game, and now St. Louis gets a spark with a defensive score from Bonnet. 3rd and 2. Adaeze Adebayo does not get the first down. He's wrapped up by Ryan Nada, who had a pair of sacks in this building in the NFC Championship last season. Under a minute to go in the quarter, Puma, what a throw for the end zone. It's the rookie, DeAubrey Thomas, his 3rd consecutive game with a touchdown. Thomas hasn't been great this year. He barely has 100 yards, but he has a knack for the end zone. We certainly want to find a way to get him the ball more, though, as Yanya is sacked on first down by Simeon Bonnet, his 2nd of the year. Ever since the strip sack, the momentum of this game has flipped on its head. Both the offense and the defense looking so much better as a result. 3rd and 14. Screen for Adebayo. Does not get the first down as Jamiron Barber delivers the boom in the backfield. 3rd and 9. Cephas is wide open. He brings it to the 36. Nobody was within a 15-yard radius of Cephas when Puma threw the ball. That's about as easy of a play as a quarterback can make. On the run, it's Arturo Modelo looking to get in the end zone. He does! Arturo Modelo with his 5th touchdown of the season, 1 for each game, and it's 21-7. Modelo was excellent in the NFC Championship last year after not playing in the regular season game back in Week 2, the only game he missed last year. 2nd and 9. Wide open space for Young. He gets it to the 47. Quarterbacks have really not ran the ball well against the Dragons this year, most notably Lamar Jackson. But Bryce Young has had some big runs early in this game. 2nd and 2. Young looking downfield. What a catch by Mark Andrews, who gets that one over Bourgeois. Jalen Bourgeois has had like 10 opportunities to get his first career interception. He just never has. Wide open in the back of the end zone. It's Adaeze Adebayo for the touchdown. Very bad coverage there by the safety, Cortez Navarro. And Carolina's back in it, 21-14. Puma looking downfield. It's broken up by Jeremy Chin. The Dragons had been unbelievable over the last 10 minutes, but now they're starting to slow down. Or are they? 4th and 1. They will go for it. And Darwin Juskins gets the first down and more. Whoop! Jukes away from the defender. Huge run for Juskins, who of course himself had a great game in the NFC Championship last year. 8 carries for 68 yards. He has been on fire today. 3rd and 6. It's intercepted! J.C. Horn picks it off. The first interception that Puma Whitlock has thrown all year. He was looking downfield for DeAubrey Thomas, but the pass was underthrown. Carolina gets it back from the 24. Adaeze Adebayo loses 5. The rookie, Warwick Eldred, brings him down. Eldred has gotten off to a quiet start. Only half a sack so far. Obviously not a great run defender, but it's good to see him making that play in the run game. 2 minutes to go in the first half. 2nd and 15. Matthias Abanda gets around 12, and Abanda is banged up for Carolina. That is not good news. He's one of the main reasons why this offense goes, and his day will be over. 3rd and 3. Bryce Young in the zone. Short throw for Adebayo, and he loses around 6 or 7. Owen Popo reads the play perfectly. There is a flag, but it will be a holding call, so the Dragons will obviously decline, and they will get the football here, looking to add to their point total late in the half. Puma up the middle. He's got Juskins down the field inside the 25. Darwin Juskins already over 100 scrimmage yards on the day, but he got injured on the very next play and might miss part of the second half. 1st and goal on the run. It's Colin Robinson with the touchdown. We've got to have a conversation at this point about Colin Robinson. Outside of week 2, where he didn't catch a pass, he's been incredible this year. He's at like 2 or 3 touchdowns. He's gotten at least 70 yards in every game he's played, not counting this one because we're still in the first half. But he's been really, really good this year. Young smothered in the backfield by Simeon Bonnet for a loss of 3. And that'll do it here for the first half. 28-14. A slow first few minutes for the Dragons, But the strip sack by Weston and the scoop and score by Bonnet gave this team all the momentum they needed. The run game's been great. Darwin Juskins has been unbelievable so far, but again, he's going to miss a large chunk of the second half. It'll be the Milan Santa show at running back, possibly with some flashes of Richard rushing. As we go into the third quarter, I feel like we need to see more out of the passing game. Puma Whitlock has not been that good so far for his standards. He has thrown 3 touchdowns, but I feel like he's missed quite a few throws so far. Bryce Young, meanwhile, has not. He's thrown 1 incompletion all day. Up the middle for Jonathan Mingo to the 46. Young now 11 of 12. This is back-to-back weeks where the pass defense has been carved up. Young again on 2nd and 4. Gets it back to Mingo, taking over the role as the number 1 receiver with no Matthias Abanda, and he's doing just fine. Mingo with over 100 yards last year in the NFC Championship, as this one is caught up the middle by Chasen Spiegel, the backup tight end of the 1. 1st and goal now, 7 to go in the third. Young has been in the zone for a while because he's not missing. He gets it over to Mark Covington for the touchdown, and we are within 1 score. It's 28-21. The Dragons will get it back here on offense, looking to get something going here on their first possession of the quarter. 3rd and 9, Pumas sacked by Jordan Brooks, the longtime Seahawk, who's had some good games over the years against St. Louis. Panthers back with it. They can tie it on this possession. 3rd and 7. Spiegel is out of bounds and complete. So the Dragons look like they're going to hold them to 3. But it's a fake! Deshaun Watson keeps it, and he is massaged to the ground by Cam Lucifer, but not before getting the first down. Big play for Deshaun Watson, and the special teams struggles continue for St. Louis. It has been a rough start to the year for the special teams. Up the middle, Chasen Spiegel gets it to the 1. Bryce Young is 19 for 20 without his best receiver. That is incredible. This defense needs a long look in the mirror during the bye week, as Mark Andrews is wide open. This game is tied at 28. All the momentum that the Dragons accumulated in the first half is gone. They could use a big play here. This could do something. It's Amarion Cephas who gets 23, and that'll wrap up the third. Knotted up at 28. Into the fourth. Puma on the run. Under pressure for the end zone. It's Robinson again. Colin Robinson with his 2nd touchdown of the game as the breakout season for C-Rob continues. 35-28. So the Panthers get it back. Bryce Young has been in the zone for an eternity now. Under pressure, he is tripped up for a loss of 8. Jabril Fofana with his 2nd sack of the year, and that's what takes Bryce Young out of the zone. Thank God. 3rd and 18. Young looks downfield. It's Mark Andrews who takes a pop from Ronrakis Barber and company. Dragons get the stop, though. Finally, the defense makes a play. They'll get it back on offense. From around midfield, Darwin Juskins finally back in the game, and he brings it to the outside. Wrapped up at the 32. 10 carries, over 100 yards for Juskins, who has carried his playoff success over to the regular season. He's been excellent this year. 2nd and 6. Puma on the run. Floats it up, and it's caught by Robinson. His 3rd touchdown of the game. What a throw by Puma and an incredible play by Robinson. That's a hat trick, but unfortunately it's coming back. Puma did throw it beyond the line of scrimmage, but still, that play was sick. It's a darn shame it didn't work. That was awesome. 3rd and 9. Puma looks to rebound under pressure. Cannot outrun Cameron Thomas, who sacks him for a loss of 10. And that play could knock the Dragons out of field goal range. The one thing they could not have there was a sack. They will still go for the kick anyway. 58-yarder for Cameron Dicker. It's going to be close. And he missed it! It's just barely short. It grazes the bottom of the crossbar. If the Dragons were, say, a yard closer, I think he makes it. So Carolina can now tie the game. Bryce Young keeps it on the option. As Bourgeois completely butchers the tackle, and Young gets it to the 1. As I said in the last game, I feel like Bourgeois has had a great season as a run defender, but that was just unacceptable. 1st and goal now. Carolina looks to punch it in. Mark Covington breaks the tackle from Barber. That's not easy to do. That's a 360-pound man you're throwing off of you. But he's in, and we're tied at 35. Dragons back with it. Can they get a game-winning drive from Puma? What a catch by Arturo Modelo, who gets it to the 37-yard line. That probably should have been picked off. That was a risky throw and a great play by Modelo to track the football. 2nd and 9. Here's Juskins, gets a big block, and he brings it to the 41. I think that big block, ironically, came from Jamie Ron Barber, who was in the game at fullback. 2nd and 11. Puma on the run. He's got Modelo, who is thrown down by Horn at the 13. Big drive here for St. Louis. Modelo now once again over the 100 yards mark. 3rd and 4 from the 7. Juskins does not get it. Carolina with the stop, and they'll give their offense an opportunity to win the game. You can make the argument for the Dragons to go for it, but not even head coach Scotty Pickens has the balls to do that. 38-35, a minute to go. We'll see if Bryce Young can lead his team down the field to win this game. Up the middle, Mark Andrews with a nice catch, but he's hurt. And the Panthers use timeout number 2. Down to 40 seconds. 2nd and 6. Wide open, the rookie, Jay Justice, to the 25, and he's hurt. So the Panthers are going to have to use their last timeout, and they have to manage this smart. They have 30 seconds, but they're out of timeouts. Do they go for the end zone or just try to position themselves to make a field goal? And running the ball there might kind of show their hand. 3rd and 5, they will go no huddle. They're certainly going to have enough time to run another play. As Bryce Young looks to throw it under pressure. Got to avoid the sack as he throws it away. If Malachi Weston brings him down in the backfield, that's game over. But unfortunately, he's unable to, and that brings out the field goal unit. 37-yard kick is good, and we are headed to overtime. What else would we get between these two teams? I think whoever wins the coin toss wins this game. St. Louis has got to make the right call. Tails never fails, baby! Dragons win the toss. They'll start with the football. Puma Whitlock and the offense can win the game. Hopefully, Carolina does not touch this football the rest of the way. 38-38. Can we get a game-winning overtime drive out of Puma Whitlock? From the 27. Puma up the middle. He's got Voafana, who gets around 16. Good start. Puma with 4 touchdowns today, maybe looking for one more. From the 31, up the middle, Arturo Modelo brings him in the red zone. We're 2 minutes in, and the Dragons are already very close. From the 19, Puma looks to throw it. Has an open man! That's your game! The rookie, DeAubrey Thomas, with his 2nd touchdown of the game, his 4th of the year, his 4th in the last 3 weeks, and the Dragons walk it off in overtime with Puma Whitlock's 5th touchdown of the game. I figured whoever wins the coin toss is going to win this game. If it lands on heads, I think Carolina probably would have won. But nonetheless, the Dragons take it home, improving to 4-1, while Carolina falls to 3-2. Really fun game here. The run game was excellent, but that's 2 weeks in a row where the pass defense has been brutal. Puma Whitlock with a great showing. I think he threw 1 incompletion after halftime. He was money down the stretch. 321 yards and 5 touchdowns. Bryce Young was also money. He threw 4 incompletions the entire game. Darwin Juskins was fantastic. It's a shame he didn't play for most of the second half. Otherwise, he could have had more than 140 yards. 11 for 134 and a score for Modelo. Colin Robinson scored twice. DeAubrey Thomas only had 2 catches, but both of them went for touchdowns, including the game winner. Defensively, though, we were not great. I thought the pass rush did at their best game of the year, if you're looking for that. And the run game, I thought we were pretty good defensively. So the front 4 was better than it's been, but the coverage was just not good. And it's unfortunate because the coverage through the first 3 weeks of the year was excellent. But over the last 2 weeks against Trevor Lawrence and Bryce Young, it has not been pretty. Here's a look at our scores around the league in Week 5. As for the players of the week, it ends up being Tyler Nguyen for the Seahawks. So Zachary Bridger tore his ACL in Week 3. Nguyen is back as the starter. He's joined by Lamar Jackson, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and Roman Bishop. That brings us to the bye week where we're going to wrap up the episode. I'm not entirely sure if we're going to do 5 or 6 games in the next episode, but we will get to see Tyler Nguyen in Seattle. We'll get to play the Niners again. We'll also likely see the Rams for the first time this year. Let me know what you thought of the format of today's episode. I had a lot of fun with this one. Obviously, playing 5 games, it's going to take a little bit longer to get the video out than, say, like the normal 2 games. But I still had a lot of fun with this one, and I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.